distinguished guests, innovators, friends of the bioeconomy, ladies and gentlemen. Earlier this year at the gathering of agriculture ministers in Berlin, I had shared South Africa's vision for our G20 presidency. And the vision didn't start from scratch. It focused squarely on the foundation, the excellent foundation that was laid by Brazil's G20 and their 10 high-level principles for the bioeconomy. And our focus remains steadfastly on advancing the bioeconomy in ways that promote inclusive growth, environmental stewardship, and importantly, social equity. Now, Ben will obviously is the expert in our presidency and has taken a great lead, and it was great to be with them in Germany at the beginning of the year. But I think we're already starting to see the ripples of the work, not only within the G20, but across Africa and extending across other global platforms like COP30 and beyond. And it has been very encouraging to see that in all of the multilateral international events that I have been able to be present, the bioeconomy has been front and center on the agenda. And the nexus between agriculture, the bioeconomy, a growing economy, inclusive growth, has started to solidify as a very clear way forward for many countries, particularly those of us here in this wonderful continent of Africa. I fundamentally believe that Africa is poised to become the breadbasket of the world. And unlocking the potential that exists in Africa, I think, is going to be the secret to prosperity for the continent, lifting people out of poverty, and creating viable economies on the continent that are able to move Africa forward out of the poverty cycles, out of the inequality tables, and into a place where Africa can take its rightful place among the world. We have the people, we have the soils, but it's going to be fundamentally important that we see the soils and the environment and the bioeconomy as assets. And like any assets, they need to be nurtured and taken care of. And I think we've seen over the last 30 years, particularly in the agriculture space, and I've only been in the agriculture space for a year and a half. A year and a half ago, if you asked me what foot and mouth was, I'd say it's something politicians got, not a disease that cattle have. But having seen in the agricultural space the importance about soil stewardship and soil management, and rather than just stripping soil and focusing on massive yield and profitability and inputs that are going into the soil and not worrying about what the downstream impact of them are, there's definitely a move away from that now and a move towards more sustainable ways to make sure that we have access to food and have food security, but at the same time treating the soil and the bioeconomy as assets that need to be nurtured and grown. So we recognize, but we now need everybody else to come to the same conclusion, that the bioeconomy offers a truly transformative pathway forward to address the triple planetary crisis: climate change, biodiversity loss, and pollution. And the bioeconomy, and focusing on it, is a core solution. I think it enables resilient, responsible, and inclusive growth. It enhances human well-being and reduces poverty. And crucially, it supports climate mitigation and adaptation, biodiversity conservation, sustainable development, and is central to ensuring, as I've said, food security and nutrition. And yet, we face a critical inefficiency. So according to the International Center for Forestry Research and Agroforestry, Africa currently captures less than 10% of the value of its biomass. While there are undeniable reasons behind this, such as gaps in science and technology, skills and infrastructure, innovation funding, and enabling policy, I think that this disparity represents a remarkable opportunity for us in our country. And we must invest strategically in adding value to the raw biomass that our continent produces, so that we can derive more economic benefit for our people from agricultural productivity. Across the full agricultural value chain, bioinnovation can deliver transformative impact. This includes crop and livestock improvement, including indigenous species that are being developed to withstand climate-related stresses, and there's a lot of work being done by the Agricultural Research Council on indigenous crops and their propagation and growth in South Africa to achieve this. Secondly, agro-processing and integrated food and nutrition research. Thirdly, the development of animal vaccines and energy crops and the expansion of biocontrols and biofertilizers. One of the big changes is the move to biologicals and more sustainable products that are less harmful to the environment, less harmful to our waterways, less harmful to the environment in which they are used. And as a Department of Agriculture, we are taking our Act 36 applications into an online system, which we hope will streamline that. We hope then also to have a green lane for biologicals that would see them being fast-tracked through the process in order to ensure that we can sustainably move far quicker to these and phase out highly hazardous pesticides in the near to medium term. We also need to see the growth in aquaculture, soil conservation, and water resource management. And critically, building high-value skills and capabilities and systems to drive agro-innovation. But the bioeconomy also brings the circular economy principles to life, reminding us that waste is only waste if we waste it. Let me share a few prime examples from right here in this province. Strawberry farmers are using cellulose-based bioplastic sheets to protect their crops. After harvest, these are then tilled into the soil and become biodegradable with months, saving costs and improving environmental and human health. That's thanks to a collaboration between the CSIR, farmers and manufacturers. These sheets are now produced more affordably than the fossil fuel alternative. Vineyards are also moving to using kelp and seaweed-based fertilizers that have boosted yields by up to 60%. And these bio-based inputs improve soil structure, they stimulate microbial activity, they enhance nutrient availability, and increase water retention. And because kelp forests sequester carbon, scaling this industry sustainably supports broader climate and biodiversity goals. And it was very interesting at the recent B20 to have a chance to sit and talk to some of the people who are developing these amazing products here. And while I could speak endlessly about the ingenuity, and I'm sure that within this room there's no shortage of stories about this ingenuity, we must acknowledge the existential urgency of this transition. So according to the United Nations Environment Programme and a recent intergovernmental panel on climate change, we are on course for a 3.1 degrees Celsius warming this century. The impacts of extreme weather events, sea level rise and biodiversity loss are likely to be catastrophic. And unfortunately, Africa and the developing world will be the hardest hit. Already here in South Africa, in my home province of KwaZulu-Natal, we've seen catastrophic weather events that have had significant damage to not only farming and crops, but also to the critical infrastructure that is required to both manage waste, water, and to manage and the infrastructure that manages access to markets. And these have been significant. And anybody who doesn't believe in these things, I would invite them to come to KwaZulu-Natal and come and witness the huge climate swings and variations that we've had that have never been seen in KwaZulu-Natal before. So as our eastern part of our country becomes more wet and tropical, so too are we seeing aridity start to set in the western part of our country. And so these things, I think, demonstrate that simply relying on the same things that we've been doing for the last 10 to 15 to 20 to 30 years is not going to cut it anymore. And we need to make sure that we do not undermine our efforts by doggedly sticking to the dogmas of the past and to the ways of the past. We must be open, we must be engaging, and we must welcome innovation and new environmental techniques and technologies that come in. And we need to move towards a system of far more rapid adaptation to these than is currently the case. So urgency is not just about seizing the opportunity of the bioeconomy, it's about safeguarding it before it slips away and is no longer there. It's also about investing in ecological infrastructure that underpins both our current economy, but also the more sustainable one that we aspire to build. As you will hear from experts, and I'm sure you had them here yesterday, and practitioners and experts today, a few priorities will stand out as essential, I believe, to the moment facing us. We need to have bioeconomy finance at scale, moving from grants to really serious institutional investment. And we need lifeboat strategies to support high risk, high reward innovation in the sector. We have to align our trade with climate and nature positive outcomes, and we must accelerate innovation ecosystems that can commercialize and scale the necessary impacts that we need to have. From the agricultural sector, financing the bioeconomy on large scale isn't just a choice, it's a driving force behind significant transformation. And I see it really as an engine to help mitigate risks across the industry, to foster genuine resilience against climate challenges, and to generate wealth all the way down to farm worker level. And this goes beyond just simply distributing funds or spreading them around. It represents a fundamental shift in the way in which we elevate agriculture from a high-risk commodity-driven sector into a globally competitive, resilient and value-adding powerhouse. And it's about turning that environmental care into tangible economic benefit for every single producer. The benefits are clear for us to see. We build resilience by investing in tools farmers need today, such as bio-inputs and climate-resilient crops. And we create new revenue opportunities by supporting local infrastructure that transforms waste into valuable products like bioplastics and bioenergy. And most importantly, we guarantee fair access to affordable long-term capital for smallholders through innovative solutions like biobonds, ensuring that those who feed us become the primary beneficiaries of the wealth generated from these biological resources. And a good example of this would be the sugar sector in South Africa, which since the health levy was implemented, have really started to struggle quite significantly with viability, sustainability and profitability. By opening up a whole new sector on biofuels and biodiesel, we could turn the sugar sector in South Africa into a sunrise industry again, bringing in small growers, making them part of the value chain, and in helping us as a country to meet the challenges and commitments to move towards more energy efficient biofuels into the future. This will also have a knock-on effect in a struggling fiscal environment where your purchases of oil will inevitably go down, leaving more space in the fiscus to invest in the areas of the economy that will stimulate more growth and more job creation. So thank you very much for allowing me to be here today. Thank you for showing up. Thank you to those investing. You've arrived here with checkbooks. And thank you for building the bioeconomy through all of your efforts, big and small. I believe that if we put the bioeconomy at the center of what we do, and that we march resolutely forward to ensure that these things are adopted across governments, across the private sector, and within a community level, I don't think that anything will stand in our way of ensuring that we eventually start to unlock this huge potential, huge untapped potential that lies in the bioeconomy. And I think that Africa remains poised better than any other continent in the world to get on top of this now, get ahead of what other countries are doing, to adopt these policies and procedures, to invest in the bioeconomy in order to unlock the genuine potential that we all know exists on this wonderful continent of ours. Thank you very much. I wish you well over your deliberations over the next few days. Thank you very much.